Hey guys, I'm Donnie Shellshock here at Night Owl Artworks and Studio. This is another episode for the Third Coast Art Talk. We have a special guest today, local artist and I guess art legend now, kind of Eagle Pass. A lot of people know who he is. Almost there, not yet. So yeah, he's from DA Arts. Also runs Art Trike 830.
Art Trike 830, yes.
Yeah. So, no further. Go ahead.
No. Hi, I'm Diaz. As Santo said, I'm with Art Trike 830. It is my summer art education program. And my art page is Diaz Art on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, I'm trying to get the arts going here in Eagle Pass.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about not just your process, but a little bit what inspired you to create this series of, because your work has changed over the years. I've known Diego for quite a few years. Yeah. And I've seen your work transcend a little bit from the beginning stages to now. Talk us a little bit about some of the pieces you have here.
Well, this current series is called Arrival. I'm in between series from going from Arrival to a new one called I haven't named it yet, but it's evolving from Arrival. And it has to do a lot with the immigration issues that we have going on. Okay. They're based off of stories that I hear from friends and family members who work who are dealing with the immigration issue at work. I'm also pulling stories from news articles and stories straight from immigrants. And the stuff that they go through, a lot of it's kind of morbid, almost very macabre, kind of like very. My wife says they're kind of dark, but it's a reality of what's happening, right? It's the struggle of traveling, of packing all your things and traveling thousands of miles to a country you've never been to. With no job, sometimes nowhere to stay, for most people, no family, no network aside from those people that you're traveling with. And, it's an adventure. It's like I've never had to pack my stuff and leave my kids behind and travel somewhere new. So I try my best to put myself in their shoes, but at the end, I'm just a watcher. As an artist, I'm just there to document what's happening in this area alone. So that's pretty much what the Arrival series is about.
Nice. What I like about this series is that you can tell that the stories that you're telling with each piece, you're seeing it as an observer more than anything. Yeah. And from my personal experience, my parents came from Mexico. My mom's a Native American that she came over here to work and stuff like that. So I understand the idea of migrating up north, because we used to do that all the time out in the summers, migrating up north to find work, trying to make it through. Mm-hmm. So your series really spoke to my personal experience and some of the stories that I even heard and experienced myself. So and that's why I think that the imagery you have, although a little bit macabre and a little bit gruesome in a sense, it does speak a lot about the issues that we face, not only just here in our side of the border or in this section of the border, but it's something that you experience living in a border town throughout the border itself.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I haven't experienced it. I was born here in Eagle Pass, but my parents were born in Piedras. And my dad talks about times where the border wasn't an issue. They can just cross, spend the day over here and then cross back. He's talked about crossing over through the river because they didn't have money for the bridge. And then we'll go back and just, this whole idea of, this is America, this is Mexico, and that's it. There's like a big old giant imaginary wall. That wasn't an issue back then. I mean, it's an issue now. I can see it. But it's not as simple as, right or wrong. It's not as simple as, these are people. And I can see it because I lived in the neighborhood for the first 2 years of this issue going on here. I recently moved, but for the first 2 years, I mean, you would see people just, fresh out the river, walking by into stash houses. We would see the families, kids, and everything. So I do understand it's like an issue, I guess, but at the same time, you know, you can't blame them for trying to get something better, you know, make something better of themselves or their lives. So it's kind of like an in-between. And I have family members who are dealing on the law enforcement side who aren't immigration officers, but they've been thrown into this. So I can see their struggle on this side. I can see, you know, the immigrant struggle. And I'm trying to keep an open mind. I'm trying to see, keep my eyes open and, to all, you know, perspectives of the situation. And that's my job as an artist, is to document these things, I think.
I think that's one of the hardest things about being an artist is not being able to really speak about the issue, but just record it and put it out there. And I think what you have with this series is something that speaks powerfully about our border area, and the stories itself. With one single piece, you could tell so many things are happening in just that one piece. And let's talk a little bit about the actual process of how you came up with let's just speak about the process itself. What kind of materials do you use? You know, kind of that stuff.
Well, I primarily work in printmaking with linoleum. So the printmaking process, it's a block print. So after you have your image, you transfer the image onto the block, the piece of linoleum, and then you carve it out. And from that, you can make multiple prints. And, you know, each block takes, you know, a couple of hours to like a couple of days to carve out, just depending on the detail. I mean, we have different types here, different amounts of detail. But I just fell in love with the whole process of carving into something, the process of destroying something in order to create something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I chose printmaking because once you have the image, once you have the piece carved out, you can make multiple copies. So this in turn makes the art accessible to more people. The issue I had with painting is you spend a month painting something and you sell it to one person, and that's the one person that has your art. But since I was a since I was a graphic designer in Laredo for about 9 years or so, I love the idea of people having my artwork. And the more people that have it, the better. So I think printmaking, allows that, for the art to spread out everywhere, pretty much. So it's, I don't know.
So how have you loved the transition from traditional painting to doing printmaking now?
I've always loved printmaking. This is something that I really liked when we were in college. I was in the printmaking studio, but I never really got into it as in trying to understand the mark making and the materials better. I'm finally getting to that point in my life where my kids are a little older. I'm set as a teacher, which is my job, my day job, so I can go back and pick and choose what I want to work on. And I always found printmaking very therapeutical. So I picked up my gouges and started carving again, and this is where I'm at.
Yeah, the printmaking, it's a fascinating media to pick up. Let's talk a little bit about the next project that you're working on. Can you give us a little bit of a preview of what it might look like?
Next series or next project?
The next series.
Well, the issue with me is I have like 2 or 3 projects going on at once. My mind never shuts up, so I'm always trying to do stuff. The next series is I'm still working on the immigration issue, but I'm approaching it more in a sci-fi kind of way.
Oh, okay.
Like this first print over here, this is the first one from the series. And I was just thinking, I'm a big sci-fi freak. The whole alien movies, Prometheus, Arrival, which is the name of the this first part of the series. And I was just thinking, if you were going to a new planet, you show up, everything is strange to you. Even the writing on the walls, like let's say someone who doesn't know English comes to America and they see English on the walls, it's just gibberish to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been watching a lot of, I've been watching the Marvel movies on Disney Plus in different languages, just so I can get an understanding of a little bit of that understanding of what it is to see something, hear something, and not understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Like that language, all that gibberish stuff. So I combined my love for sci-fi and this immigration and just made it like, hey, what if you were going to a brand new planet? Yeah. How would that look? And so that's what I'm working on right now. It's still an immigration issue, but I'm just having more fun with it pretty much.
Well, let's digress a little bit towards the arts in our community here in this. I guess I call it third coast because we got the west coast, we got the east coast, and we got a little pond of a river kind of thing. Yeah. So I call it the third coast. How do you see the art scene or the art community here in Eagle Pass grown since you returned back to Eagle Pass?
Well, I came back 2013, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And back then, the city of Eagle Pass was still trying to get the art movement going. It wasn't for probably until the next year that we got invited to host an art on Main Street event. And that one went off pretty well. It was something new that they hadn't done before, so they kind of liked, the community loved it. And then from there, we worked on little things. I helped out the city little by little. Put on shows and art education events. And as far as the city goes, it's steadily kind of going up, and then it kind of plateaued a little bit with the art center. We finally got an art center in Eagle Pass, but the main kind of plateaued a little bit. They do use it, I guess, for the performing arts and all that other stuff. But as far as the visual arts, it's kind of plateaued a little bit. However, because of all that stuff, places like this place, like the Night Owl Studios, have been popping up. More and more people are starting to appreciate the arts. They're starting to understand that it's not just, color inside the line kind of thing. Yeah. So with that, all that going on, I was able to create the art Trike, which started off as free art classes for anybody. We got funded by the Arts Council of Eagle Pass. And that kind of grew, but it became a little too much for me because it's all like my spare time. Yeah. So it became a summer program, and right now it's doing great as a summer program. 2 months of just, 2 classes every week, free art education to the students, to the people in Eagle Pass, and that's growing. This place is growing. Other places are growing. They're bringing in people to do murals. It's getting there. It's slow, but it's finally getting there. Yeah. But I think stuff like this place that is more consistent, I think that's what we need. More consistency in the arts, more consistency in the programming, and it should take off pretty quickly. But the people will want it. The people are responding to it. Yeah. How do you see it?
Well, I mean, it's something strange because coming back to Eagle Pass, I saw everything you guys were working on and doing. And I wanted to jump on that wagon. I was like, what can I do to help out through all my experiences that I've done and everything? And working there with the Art Center, we did have fun. We did have a lot of things going on. One concern that the parents had was that not all of them could do Saturdays. Mm-hmm. And since the Art Center only had 2 hours at a time, it was really hard for parents because they would get booked up pretty quickly. Yeah. So it was really hard for parents.
To like 10 students.
So it was really hard for parents to bring out the kids during the weekends, those that couldn't make it. And then the age gap was at 12, 13. So that was another opening that we saw that, let's expand it, let's see what we can do to bring younger kids and older kids in, including, the parents and stuff like that, to be involved with it. So that's why we developed the studio to cater to that. Not only just the kids that are under 5 years old, toddlers and things like that, but we also started working with kids that had autism, you know, Down syndrome, any kind of disabilities. We started working with them as well. We started working with the homeschoolers. And then, of course, we started inviting more of the youth to come out and participate. And then, of course, we started now doing, you know, adult classes as well. So it's, you know, I had to figure out what worked and what didn't work.
I remember when you started, you had like 20 different things going. And I was like, man, hopefully he doesn't get tired.
Yeah.
But
it's something that I'm so used to doing already that, you know, I just wanted to throw all my marbles in and to see what worked. And now that we see that, you know, kids are more into popular stuff, you know, like Pokemons and, you know, Pikachus and Stitch and things like that. And especially now with the TV series of Wednesday Addams, that's become something that people really love and enjoy.
The Wednesday character.
Yeah, the Wednesday character. So now I have to develop, you know, characters, something that I think the kids would like to paint and stuff like that. And then we're trying different techniques. We're trying different ways of painting, things like that, allowing them to draw it out first, you know.
And that's the way it should be. It should be, you know, throw everything out there, see what works, and then adjust from there. I mean, that's what the community needs. It needs not just, it doesn't, the worst thing you can do in the arts especially is have one program and say, this is the way it is, and then stop there. It needs to grow, it needs to change. So good job.
So eventually we want to create more art studios throughout the city. Something that can cater, because Eagle Pass, even though it's not a big city, it is really spread out. So the kids that live, you know, in one area, the parents don't like to travel to this area because it's just too much of a traffic.
And I think that's what we forget is this is the city of Eagle Pass, but you know, most of our population is Maverick County. It's, you know, Loma Bonita, Las Quintas, Chula Vista, Rosita Valley, all those places. And there's so much culture and so many talented people out there that's really hard. And that's why with the art trike this past summer, I tried to have it over in Loma Bonita, in the kids club area, just because that is an area that isn't, the opportunities over there aren't as, you know, great as they are here within the city limits. So that's another thing that we have to take into consideration for the arts. I mean, having something out there headed that way. So I
think right now at this point we have a good model that we can implement in different parts of the city. That the only thing we need is, you know, motivated artists that are willing to, you know, put in the work and
time and effort, and money for
that's one of the biggest thing is trying to find the funding for it, and then have you know, businesses take into account that they don't have to just support the sports or band or cheerleading, you know what I mean? That there's other areas about.
That is something I've been, as a teacher, that is something that a lot of, something I struggle with all the time with parents. I remember one time during a parent-teacher night, we had one kid he was a really great, talented artist. He brought his mother in and he was like, oh, well, he loves art, but we're a baseball family, you know, and he just wants to draw and everything. And but I want him to get into sports. And I know you're the art teacher, but you know, can you tell him that, you know, art isn't, you know, I guess she said important or something. The way I remember it, she said, you know, art isn't as important. But then I went around and I told her, like, hey, if you guys are a baseball family, you guys have your own team, right? You guys play on a team. Like, yeah, we do. We have our jerseys and everything. It's like, well, why don't you have them design your jersey for you? You know, the arts are everywhere. I mean, that's what I did in Laredo for 9 years, design jerseys. And the look the mom gave me was like, what? What do you mean? It was like, yeah, it takes an artist, like graphic designer, to design the jerseys for you. If you guys want to be, if you want him to be part of your baseball family, you know,
he can still be part of the family in a different way.
Support his what he likes doing, and he can design something for you. So, and that's something. I guess it also comes with the community that we have. A lot of people here, like my dad. He didn't get like a formal education or anything, but he does carpentry, he does a little bit of welding. He can build stuff from nothing.
Yeah.
And that's being an artist. It's seeing an object and seeing what it could be instead of just what it is at the moment. So we have a lot of people like that. The people that make the things out of the tires. All those little crafters.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an artist mindset.
Yeah.
But we see so much of that here that we forget that that's like, that's art,
Yeah.
That it takes an artist to create something out of nothing. So it's also, part of the problem is the community not seeing what is art, or not understanding that art isn't just a painting or a drawing. It's a creative process. It's all that, making stuff,
Yeah.
So if we can change that point of view, that perspective that the community has, they can better understand what is art and what isn't. Because I've met a lot of these people, a lot of the older, for some reason, a lot of older, old school guys that like to make stuff. All the lowrider guys, building their bikes, creating, painting them. Adding all that extra stuff, the bondo,
the low jack welding, and
all that stuff, man. It's a type of art form, and we forget that. But the arts have been alive and well, and Eagle Pass is just kind of like you said. We're so spread out that we kind of need a hub or somewhere where we can all meet and exchange ideas and stuff like that. At one point, I was thinking of. I know a couple of veterans who for some reason they all kind of go into like woodworking. And the lino cut, the block printing lends itself very well to woodcuts, which is just the same thing but with wood. So I was thinking of trying to contact them to set up like a workshop or show them how. And because for me, art is very therapeutical. It's very. I have a Twitch, and the only time I don't Twitch is when I'm drawing or making something. When I'm carving, I can spend hours. I'm also ADHD. I can't. I lose focus a lot. My mind's bouncing back and forth between things. I can be reading a book, drawing, and watching TV at the same time because I get bored really easily, just bouncing back and forth. But when I carve, I can sit at my desk and I can carve for like 4 or 5 hours straight, and not twitch and not lose focus or anything. So this is really good for little kids that can't focus. I think the art making process itself. But yes, I think that is one of the benefits of creating art. The other benefits would be how much it helps in all the other core subjects like math, language arts, reading and stuff. Just learning how to be creative and the critical thinking process that you learn when you're designing drawings and painting, that's beneficial. Especially when you when you start going into college, where the thinking process isn't like in elementary where they go 1 + 1 is 2. Once you get up to high school and college, it's more like, so what do you think? And if you're not taught how to think critically, then you're gonna have a hard time in college. So I think the arts is also beneficial with that, and in that it helps people think and use their imagination and come up with creative solutions to the problems. So we need more art. I think.
So what do you see the future of the arts, let's say in the next, since Eagle Pass moves in a slower pace than most of our sister cities around us, how do you see the arts being developed or even, moving along in the next, let's say 10 years?
I think, not to toot our own horns, people like you, people like me, and all the other individuals, was it the Digital Artist Society? Eagle Pass, or Digital Art Society, right? People like that group was going to drive or spearhead the arts in Eagle Pass. I think if we wait for the city because I know they have tons of other projects that they don't worry about. If we wait for them, it's gonna be way slower. But with people like us, the individual artists will do more good for the arts than a big entity or a company. So I think we have this place going on, which is awesome. Soon, hopefully, I can get something going. I want to have something like the taller de gráfica.
Yeah.
Right? Like they have just like a workshop where it's more of a collaboration.
Yeah.
And it's more of a collective movement than an actual business or school.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. I mean, it takes the individuals, but that's all it is. I mean, we have, those groups doing that for the visual arts, but we also have other people doing stuff for film and music. And I think you can't have the visual arts without having the performing arts. So I think, and I think the County Lakes, the amphitheater?
Oh, yeah.
It's coming out soon, so hopefully someone gets a group going,
a theater group or something,
going. Yeah. But as far as the visual arts, I mean, we know who's gonna drive it forward. It's gonna be the local artist. Yeah. I mean, we can't wait for anyone to do it. Yeah. We're the ones that have to do it, pretty much. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're completely right.
When you're right, you're right.
Yeah, that's the way I see it in the next coming years is these younger group of artists that are coming together not only to do the digital art, but they're doing the visual and they're doing the performance and they're doing all these great things. I think those are the kind of group of kids that we need to bring into the fold in a sense and show them like, look, this is what we used to do. This is what you guys are doing. And let's combine it and do something cool.
And I have a feeling it's going to be up to someone younger than us.
Yeah, of course. It's
going to be someone younger, definitely younger than us, someone that has more time. We're doing what we can, but I think it's definitely going to have someone, because before we didn't grow up, we didn't have this kind of stuff, right? So we kind of found it in Laredo. I found it in Laredo. I know you found it in Laredo with everything that you did over there. So I think that we brought it back to Eagle Pass, and now you're doing something here. But I think this will be the catalyst for the new generation to actually grow up doing this, so that they can actually bring something bigger and better.
Yeah, whenever it happens with anything brand new, you're gonna have people that are gonna support it 100%. You're gonna have people that are just gonna doubt you all the way from the first step to the last step. You know what I mean? And then you're gonna have the ones that are gonna be like, yeah, sure, why not? You know what I mean? So you're gonna have everything in between. But the thing that continues to drive myself and hopefully is that it motivates people to either, you know what, he's doing this, let me do something even better than that. Or let me do something that surpasses that.
Or improve on our
So that's my hopes that these younger generation of artists that are coming out, that they see what we're doing and not be like intimidated, like, oh no, these guys are great artists, I'm never gonna get to their level. I was like, no, we were you at one point, you know what I mean?
It's kind of like, you have a kid now. And I can tell you off the bat, I have 3 kids, and it's kind of like raising a kid. You don't want your kid to do the same thing you did. You want them to do better. And I think the arts for us is our main baby. So we want people to do better with the arts. And I mean, some people, I've had the other issue, I guess it's everywhere. Everybody wants to be someone big. But like for me, I just want to do something big. You know what I mean? Like, we can start something and, 10 years down the line, someone else does something even better from the little thing that we did, that'd be great. And it's all about growth and it's all about investing, in your community, because we didn't have this growing up. My kids are experiencing more art stuff than I ever did, so that's perfect. But then as the more I'm a teacher, the more I see the talent that these kids have. They're coming in already knowing how to draw because of YouTube and stuff like that. And it's my job just to guide them. So I think as time passes, we just need to do better, invest. And it's really hard for people to invest in something that they won't benefit from. Like all this time and effort that we're putting into the arts, we're never gonna experience having art classes because we already had art classes in college. But as a kid, you know, I wish I had this. So what we're doing is we're investing into the community and creating these opportunities for those next kiddos, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it. I think it was one of these art events. I think it was a Mexican consulate. I can't remember his name. You know, the guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
And he said something like, he said it in Spanish. I can't remember the way it is, but it said something like, for there to be like fruit on the tree, someone has to be the person planting the seed for the tree or whatever. So, and it's like you plant a seed for a tree that you'll probably never sit in, but someone else will, and someone else will benefit from them. And I think that's what we have to do. I mean, if we want this community to grow, if we want it to turn into something for our kids, maybe our grandkids, then we have to start investing in it now, even if we don't, you know, benefit from it directly. You know, indirectly it will pay off.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest thing is trying to get out of that ego of an artist that we all have. All artists have it, no matter if it's performing, visual, it doesn't matter. We all have that ego. And I think for me, the years that I spent not being able to make art because of my hand, it allowed me to become like almost like a connoisseur of the arts, because I saw everybody else I was helping out, you know, the artists I was managing, you know, all that stuff that was getting them into shows and all that. It made me appreciate art in a different way. Not only just making and creating art, but now being able to, you know, promote it and expanding it. And I think that's why I brought this idea of this studio here, is that it's not about me. It's not about my name being out there. I want my name to be on every person's mouth that's important in the city. I want to be like, Santos Belenda is the one that's doing all. No, I want them to see that the art studio is doing all this stuff. Whether I'm here or not, the next generation, whoever wants to take over after me, I want the name of the studio to continue. That idea of the studio, you know, giving classes, you know, enriching the community with art itself. That's what I'm focused on. Not on myself, because, you know, one day we'll be long gone. You know what I mean?
And
but
it's the ego thing. I've been guilty of that myself over the years. But I think the more I teach, this is my 10th year teaching in the school, right? The more I teach, the more I see the potential of all these kids that are creative and talented, and even when they can't draw or paint, they're creative in the way they think.
Yeah.
And then I ask myself, what happens between that age and when we're grown-ups? And I think the ego kills our creativity. I think it limits us, and it limits everyone else. I mean, if I'm busy trying to compete against you, then I'm always gonna be focused on you and never on my art.
Yeah.
So I think being a teacher has helped me realize that, because at the beginning, you know, I was a graphic designer. I was like, I gotta make jerseys, I gotta make art, I gotta make, you know, everyone needs to pay for my art.
Yeah.
And now I'm using a medium that produces multiple copies of my artwork, so that more people. I just want the artwork out there, and you know, and stuff like the art Trike is also for, you know, because we just want the arts to grow in Eagle Pass. Yeah. And like you said, the city sees that, and the city invests more in the arts, and it just grows from there.
Yeah. I think at this point with the city itself, they're in a perfect position to where they can get, or at least move some funding around, you know, to showcase a lot more artists from here locally. And I think that like bringing outside artists is good from other communities, from other cities and stuff like that. It's great because then we get to see, you know, what they're creating, you know, what they've done. And it sort of allows us to be like, okay, that's what they can do. Okay, let me see if I can do something the same or even better. You know what I mean? So it kind of like ignites a fire on the other artists. And at least that's the hope. So,
Yeah.
you know, so hopefully that's what we'll see in the coming years, that more and more artists will be uniting more than, you know, separating ourselves like, oh, I'm going to do it my way. Oh, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm so. I mean, I look back and I like kick myself in the butt thinking all those times I could have collaborated and I didn't. And then I realizing later on that no one person is going to be able to do it. It's going to have to take a group of us, you know. Yeah. Collaboration is where it's at. Yeah. And there's a way to collaborate and still make our own things. I mean, that's what we've been doing, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's kind of like any jury show that you're part of. It's not yourself. It's not a solo show. You know what I mean? You're going to be together with other artists. You know, you're going to collaborate with other artists. And that's how it should be. And I think a lot of the artists are so intimidated with each other that, you know, like, oh, I've been painting so many years and I'm still at this level. And this person's been painting less than me. And look how good they are. And, you know, we compare each other in that sense. And that's sometimes what, you know, drives artists to, you know what, no, I don't want to go out there. And, you know, they get intimidated or they get timid about their art. And so you should never apologize for your art. You know what I mean? If you're going to make art, make it. Make that statement. Whether people like it or don't, it's your art.
Yeah. You know and every artist has their own perspective and how to do things. And that's why I like printmaking too. All the printmakers I've met, they're all crazy. they're all like, they're great. Printmakers are awesome. They're a little cuckoo in the head. They're a little crazy. But not one person who I met, another printmaker has said, oh, you did this wrong, or you could have done this better, or, well, I mean, they give you critiques and stuff, but they never talk down to you. It's always about, oh, I love the way you make the marks, and we're always sharing ideas and stuff like that, and that's the way it should be. Yeah. I think with painters, I'm just being all broad in general. I think with painters, it's more like, oh, I could do better and stuff like that. But with printmakers, it's all about a shared, you know, every mark you make on the block, every time you carve something, it's always like a stroke of the pencil, pretty much. It's unique to you, and it's like that's why I like printmaking. It's great, but it's that ego that does kill the arts, I think. Yeah. But as we grow older, I guess we learn better. We learn better, right? Yeah. We know better. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the upcoming workshop that we have here. That we sort of partnered up. I know we've worked on a lot of projects before, and they're always really fun. So talk a little bit about, you know, the workshop that you're having upcoming here.
So March 28th and 29th, it's a 2-day workshop. You're going to learn everything. Well, I'm going to teach them the entire process, how to do, you know, how to carve the linoleum, how to print it, how to make an edition of 10. The first day is all about the learning process, and we're going to apply some of what we learned. And then the second day is kind of optional, but if you want to print your edition of 10 prints, like your own carving, your own prints, the second day is where we start actually printing everything. So it's a 2-day workshop. It's about an hour and a half each day. What is it, a Wednesday and a Thursday, I believe? Yeah. So for the cost, the price, you're going to get all the materials that you need. I'm going to lend you some carving tools. You'll have your own little block to carve into. We'll have extra pieces to practice on. I'll have the inks, the rayers, the press, the papers, everything that you need. The entire process will be laid out step by step. It's for beginners to professionals, I guess. You know, you just show up, you know, you sign up, pay, you show up, learn, and print. And hopefully from that, we can start getting a collective of printmakers. Yeah. I want to have these workshops so I can show off the printmaking process. So that hopefully I get more printmakers around Eagle Pass, because you know, it's fun printmaking, and it's even more fun when you have a whole group of people making prints. And the cost, if I could, I would do it for free, but the cost will cover the materials and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it. I mean, hopefully this one's works out. Hopefully we can have some more. I've been asked to do painting and drawing workshops, but I really like printmaking. And with printmaking, it's kind of like a mini drawing workshop anyways, because you have to draw what you're going to print. You can't make a good print unless you have a good drawing. So, I mean, everything you learn in the printmaking process, you can transfer it to your drawings. You can transfer the whole value and the balance of values to your paintings and stuff like that. And it's, you know, hopefully you get a couple of printmakers. You know?
What I like about the printmaking process itself is that it translates to other ways of printing. I know, like, I've seen printmakers do T-shirts, you know, merchandising and stuff like that. Seems a lot, you know, a lot easier doing it through these prints versus.
It's very easy to transfer one of these images like this one onto a shirt. And once you have the plate, you can transfer it onto a shirt, and you know, eventually I'll get to that. But you know, and again, and this is one type of printmaking. One type of the printmaking process. We also have like silk screening that I also want to start teaching. So once I get this going, you know, I can transition over to silk screens and then mezzo tints and all this other stuff. It's great. But like, yeah, I mean, you can apply these to, once you have the image like this, nice and black and white, you can transfer this onto shirts, to tote bags is what they do a lot, lampshades. It's really great, But you're right,
Well, I think what I like about the workshop is that, like you said, it's going to hopefully create a little group of individuals that like printmaking. Hopefully they enjoy the process of it. I had a lot of fun when I used to do it too. And
who'd you have as a professor?
Foreign. Yeah. She was just barely starting out, so it was I almost like we both were learning at the same time.
Now, this workshop is for 14 and above, only because we are using sharp objects. But again, if there's a need, if parents come and talk to you or talk to me and say, hey, what about for little kids? There are printing methods for little ones. So, you know, let's start off with this one, make this one a success, and then, you know. I have these prints over here. And I've added some watercolor to them because I also like doing watercolor. But like you said, I'm not that good at watercolor, so I shy away from it. But sometimes when I have extra prints, I just tend to add some color to them just to see how they look. And it's something that I learned, you know, doing watercolor, and I apply it to the printmaking process. So.
What I like is that when you see your prints in just in black and white and black and gray, it kind of reminds me of like the 1920s, you know, black and white television, that silent film era. When they started adding color, it sort of changed the way we saw things. And I think that your prints, as you add color to them, even though they become a little bit more vibrant, it sort of changes the story a little bit.
Just a little bit.
It looks very comedic, but then when you start noticing all these imageries within it, I think that's when you're like, okay, what's going on here?
I've been told that a lot of my stuff, even as dark as a topic is, that the images themselves are very cartoony and very friendly. And I do that on purpose because if you have something very gruesome, it's gonna have certain people are gonna they're gonna look away and not want to look and interact with it. But when I draw these little, you know, these little Day of the Dead type. Galacas and all that stuff. It's very inviting. And once you have them hooked looking at your stuff, and then they take the time to actually read what's happening in the image, then it's a really serious topic, then that's where you have them. It's already too late. They can't escape. So hopefully that's been working. You know, the golden, what is it? You always want them to look at it longer than it took you to make, right? So hopefully that's working with them.
But that's great. I mean, I'm happy for the work that you're doing. I know you were part of a couple shows recently as well. It's great to see you out there and, you know, putting in the work again. And I know being a teacher and all that takes a lot of part of your day, and not only just your day, but your energy as well. And to see you back into, you know, back in what you're good at, and you know, seeing that you stepping back into your artist roots kind of thing. It's great to see I've always loved your work. I've always loved the what you make itself. I've been a big fan, I guess you could say. So hopefully we continue doing some of these talks. We're going to invite a lot more other artists, and eventually we want to do kind of like a little, if people that are working on stuff like on your series and stuff like that, sometimes we want to bounce ideas off of each other and stuff like that. So we want to do something like that where we have like a little art critique, bring a couple pieces in that you're working on, that you're struggling on, and then let's just discuss it. You know what I mean? How we normally would do it.
Yeah, that's one thing that I miss about being in college is having those critiques. As much as I hated being critiqued, I think now I can take them. Back then, you're always defensive, like, nah, but I was trying to do this. But I think now it's more of a learning and more of a, understanding that what you put out there is your perspective, but what the audience, what the viewer sees is from their perspective. So even if you're trying to send a message, if you're not doing it correctly, the message is being lost. So those critiques are very important, and I think that's what I miss. But thank you for having me. Thank you for having this, setting up this whole place, this studio, these talks and everything. It really has been fun watching you grow as an artist as well, and the evolution. It's another thing that if it wasn't for you, I hate doing these talks. I hate doing these talks. I hate being out there. I hate, speaking, which is weird because I talk a lot, I speak a lot, I lecture a lot as a teacher, but outside of teaching, I don't really like being out there. So thank you for having this platform where I could sit, on this side of the camera and talk to people without actually being around people. Because I think most artists, the ones I met are usually introverts, where we live so much in our artwork that, and I get that a lot. A lot of people say, how come you're not more of a people person? And it's like, I just can't be, I'm sorry. So if we've ever spoken, if I'm telling you guys, the viewers, if we ever talked and I seem like I'm not interested, I was interested. I'm not a people person. I like people. I like the person. I'm not a big people. Make sense? Groups kind of throw me off. But one-on-one is good. But thank you for having this platform, man. When we're working with the city, we used to do a lot of, it was always myself, Adrian Ordaz, and Jerry Lopez. And I was always in the background, and I would always let Jerry speak for the group. He would always do all the talking and everything. And I was always happy to let that happen. I mean, like you said, being involved in the actual, the mural that we painted outside of Cooters down the street. I was so into that, but then they brought in cameras to interview us, and I was like, Jerry, and I was freeze up, and I was look like I don't want to be there, but just being there is exciting for me. So, but yes, and true Eagle Pass fashion. I think we've said bye like 3 times. But I think this is it, right? But
we'll end it here in a good note, and. Again, we want to thank Diego Diaz for coming out and being part of this art talk. Everything should be up pretty soon so you guys can enjoy it. So thank you guys. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, subscribe, on Instagram as well. Make sure you follow Mr. Diaz in all of his social medias. We'll be posting everything down on the description where you can find his products and stuff like that as well. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys on the next one. I'm Donnie Shell Shocked.
I'm Diego Diaz, I guess. All right.